Hi, I'm Tim. Welcome to Watchbox, and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, tmosso@thewatchbox.com. It's in the description below. It is your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any Watchbox platform. Please reach out to me directly. Email tmosso@thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today, we're discussing the 2022 model year 300-piece limited edition Zenith Chronomaster Original for HODINKEE. A limited series created for the American Watch blog. It's a handsome take on the traditional Zenith A386 design from 1969 with a combination of HODINKEE gray, tri-registers in different shades, and a salmon dial. Now it's nicely sized at 38 millimeters in diameter in stainless steel. You can see that it's 13.3 millimeters thick. From lug to lug, if we're just talking the case, it's 46 millimeters. But if we measure the end link on each side, then the total horizontal distance across the wrist is 50.8 millimeters with a 19 millimeter spacing between the lugs. On my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, you can see it wears well. It's broader than you'd expect for a watch this size because of the presence of those bracelet end links. So I'm going to recommend on the bracelet, you wear it on a wrist of 15 centimeters circumference or larger. If you were to put it on a strap, you could wear it on a wrist as small as 13.5 centimeters circumference. It is thin enough with a stepped bezel and a generously sloped sapphire that it would slide underneath a formal sleeve or dress cuff. We have a conforming end link here that allows you to see the integration of the bracelet to the case. This isn't Nautilus or Royal Oak level integration, but it does close the gap and prevent any daylight between bracelet and case. And you can see it traces the slope of the lug, not just the curvature of the case. We have polished centers, satin shoulders. There's a little bit of a rolled bevel on the side, and then polished outer faces with removable links on both sides, fixed in place using screws. And then we have 5 pairs of divots and a spring bar, so you can use your strap tool to change the anchoring point of the bracelet to fine-tune the fit. Single fold stainless steel deployant clasp with a clamshell lock, and there's a little kerf underneath the clamshell so you can dig your nail in. You can also see that there are some spring-loaded steel ball-bearing pin snaps in here to ensure tight tolerances over time. And should the clamshell itself ever wear out, you can see that Zenith uses a fixing screw rather than a pressed pin to make this piece replaceable over time if it's ever necessary. On the underside, you can see large gaps and channels between the links to avoid pinching skin or pulling hair or trapping wrist heat, and there's a pronounced taper from the end link down to the clasp. The case is simple and strong. This is the 1969 A386 design, polishing and profile, squared off lug ends. There's a little bit of an expanding bevel that expands over the lug hoods with a solarization satin across the lug hoods. A very minimal and flat case top that doubles as a bezel. It is a monoblock. You can see bezel and case all one piece. Everything loads through the case back. We have the Zenith star on the crown, and we have pump style pushers. We have a dramatically boxed and cambered sapphire, and it is a sapphire, not a plexi. The idea here being to recall the 1969 watch's original plexiglass, and actually it does that quite well. The dial features a combination of grays and opaline salmon. So we have this frosted, lightly grained salmon color at center. We have overlapping registers in grayscale, so silver, gray, and anthracite. You can see we have constant seconds or running seconds over at 9 o'clock. We have a 60-second chronograph linked register over at 3 o'clock, and then we have a 60-minute chronograph register down at 6 o'clock. All of these internally have concentric patterns. There is no chronograph hours on a striking 10th watch. You lose that to gain a little bit more precision with the indication of fractional seconds. But we do have a 60-minute chrono register, which I like because I often find I measure intervals of less than 1 hour with a chronograph, but often more than 30 minutes. And having more than 30 minutes on a chrono hour or chrono minute register is really nice for me. Now here's a feature that you get on the El Primero caliber 3600. This is the second generation El Primero that originally came out in 2019. You pull the crown, hacking seconds, not previously an El Primero feature. And then we also have a quick set system so we could rapidly cycle the date. And a lot of folks will find the date is kind of unobtrusive at the traditional El Primero station 430 where it doesn't replace an index. There's a nice step down from the dial to the disc, so it's not a sheer cut straight through the dial. That's an elegant touch. And it's good to see that the disc itself matches the color of the dial. That's something a lot of brands get wrong. We have an applied logo as well as applied rhodium plated steel hour indices and white varnished hands. We'll do a quick loom shot here. As you can see, easy to see in the dark, though the chronograph components are only visible in light. We have a vintage El Primero logo up at the top, as well as a note that the El Primero is 5 hertz, 10 beats per second, 36,000 vibrations per hour. And in order to utilize that resolution of 1/10 of a second, Zenith created the striking 10th back in 2010. What this does is it takes 10 seconds elapsed and spreads them over 360 degrees of angular travel. So this makes it easy to read 1/10 of a second by spreading the second out over a large span of the dial. By physically expanding the space occupied by one graphical second, you make it easier to read fractions of a second. For example, right now I'm able to read that this is 1.5, 1.6, 1.7 seconds elapsed. What good is a 1/10 of a second chronograph if the dial itself doesn't allow you to read tenths of seconds? So that's the idea, and that's why it is also visibly a spectacular thing to see, rotating once every 10 seconds around the dial. We'll open up the clasp, take a look at the case back. The movement is a caliber 3600. Fun fact, when you're looking at Zenith reference numbers, the caliber is part of the reference number, so there it is right there, 3600. All this is protected down to 50 meters, automatic winding, 60-hour power reserve. You've got the quick set, the hacking, the 5 hertz beat rate. It's a combination of a column wheel, which you can see right here, and a lateral clutch. You can see that right there. So you can see the lateral clutch moving in and out. The column wheel, which is traditional on an El Primero, makes for crisp feel, and the lateral clutch is traditionally beautiful. Also, El Primero chronograph movements have a reputation for being open, airy, and easy to see, and we have that here. Not every automatic chronograph is a good-looking movement. The El Primeros, including the second generation El Primero, definitely are good-looking. All this pivots on 35 joules, and the column wheel feel is exemplary. You can also see we have a combination of both polished and blued screws. They serve different purposes in Zenith movements, generally distinguishing between fixing components and adjusting components. So you can also see that there's a satination or snailing across many of these components, along with polish on some of the chronograph components below and satination on the wheels. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details of this HODINKEE limited edition of 300 pieces.